All right, everyone. So now that we've finished customizing a second version of our player, now we need to think about how we want to change our player. So normally we've done a character select screen, but that can take a little bit long and there's a lot of other things that kind of gets involved in it. So this time around, we're just going to click on a key in order to change it. So now that we have that idea, we also want to make it proof in case we want to create other ones. So what this means is, even if we do one thing in order to change our character and it works, if we're not able to later on add newer characters, then that's more work that we have to do later on. And that's something else that we also kind of have to consider. So the easiest way to do this is first by creating a new variable. So we're just going to go to the variable tab, click on make a variable, and we're going to call this change player. We're going to click on OK, and it's going to be for all sprites. And again, we know this because it just says change player, and it's not specifying which sprite it's for first before the actual name of our variable. So we're just going to click on the little checkbox to hide it. So now that we have the variable, the first thing we want to do is set it to a specific number every time we play. And every time we play is when we click on the green flag. So we're going to look for this block of code. Once we do, we're going to add a set change player in between our go to and hide. And we're going to set change player to 0. So now that we have that, we want to now pick and choose when this number gets changed. So we're going to look for now this block of code, and we're going to go down. We're going to move this out the way for right now, and we're going to add another if then underneath, and then add this back down. So now that we have this if then, now we want to think, okay, so how am I going to change my player? So how about we do this when we click on a key. So we can click a key and do this. Another way can also be, which can be even fun, is doing it based off of when you change, when you touch a color instead. So that way, every time the player touches a color, they change to that new version of the player. And if they touch a different color, they do something else, and that can be fun too. But for right now, we're just going to focus on specifically when we're clicking on a key. I'm going to change it to C for change player. You can click whatever key you guys honestly want. But once we have this, we're going to go into our variable, and we are going to set change player to 1. So if you guys later on want to create another one on top of it and have 3 different characters, you'll want to swap this out to a change player by 1 instead. But since we only have 2 of them, this will work perfectly fine for us. The next thing that we want to do is we want to look for the movement code, which is this code right here. And we want to make a second version of it. So we're just going to right click on the when I receive green flag, duplicate it, and then move it to the other side. So this is my second version of my code. And now what I want to do is I want to change it so that every costume is the new one. So what's nice about this is when I click on it, the costume order is the same order that I have it in. So this is the idle one for the double-digit original player, and then this is the new one, which makes it a little bit easier. So you can just click on the one after it. So this one's for this one. This third one, the next one for that one will be this one. So it's whatever one we are on, the next one below it, which is the order in which we've placed it. Okay. So now that we have this change, the only thing is this will still confuse the code because it won't know which one to do because we haven't specified when we use this one versus when we use this one. And in order to change it, all we need to do is go into our control, add a if then that goes all the way at the top, and it goes over the entire block of movement codes that we have here. And then we're going to go into operator and add an equal sign. we're going to change this to 1. And then on the empty bubble, we're going to add our change player. So now this is saying if our change player equals to 1, we do this one. And if it's not this one, then it won't do any of this code, but we have this one that will do it for us. So if I click my green flag to play this and test it out, you can see I'm able to move perfectly fine. My character is moving, and I'm going to click on my C, and now you see that my character changed. Okay. So now that I have that, the only thing is I can't change my character back. So if I do want to change my character back, what I could do is I can go back here, move this, and duplicate the key that I have. And now I'm changing it to another letter, and since the closest letter to my C is V, that's what I'm going to change it to. And now I'm just going to change this back to 0. Okay. And what I can do for this one is I can add a if then. So I'm going to click on control, add an if then, and go into operators. So now if we're going to change this to 0, I'm going to go into variable and change player. So now if my player is 0, now it'll run my original character. I'm going to click my green flag to start my game. Have my original player, able to move. I change it to C, new character. I go to V, and I go back to normal. So now, like I said, if you guys want to make another version of the player, what you can do is go back into your player and costume, duplicate it, create a new one, go into the code, duplicate another set of this code, change it to 2 for the other version that you have, and then all you need to do is just change this to a change player by 1. So now when it changes it, when you click on the C, it'll change the C to 1 automatically, and then you can use the new version of the player you created. And if you click C again, it'll change it again. The only thing is, in order to reset it back, you have to click V and then go back to click the C in order to kind of go cycle through the characters again. But that is the basics of changing our player and adding a new version of this costume in order for us to play around. And then it also allows us to have a little bit more fun too, being able to have a different version for the world that we're making for our different levels as well.